Thank you for your interest in finding out more about our e-learning training programme. One of the FCA's requirements of firms like yours is that they ensure that all appropriate members of staff are trained and competent in the rules and guidance and have the necessary skills, knowledge and experience when dealing with their customers. Firms are expected to have a training plan in place to demonstrate to the regulator what steps they are taking to bring staff up to speed with the rules and to ensure they maintain compliance, as rules and guidance might change over time. We have produced a cost-effective course consisting of 7 modules, and here is a sample of some of the course content for you to have a look at. Prices are from as little as £10 plus VAT per month per user. Welcome to the Consumer Credit Compliance Training's e-learning course, Understand Why and How the FCA regulate consumer credit firms. Your firm will be authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority and dealing with consumers, either arranging credit for them as a broker or a lender, or dealing with them as a debt collector, debt counsellor, debt adjuster or debt administrator. The FCA issue rules around what we can or can't do when we are dealing with consumers, and one of the expectations of firms is that they ensure that their employees are sufficiently trained and competent in the rules and regulations applicable to them. E-learning is one of the ways that enables us to be up to speed with what is expected of us, and you will be asked to complete this course on a regular basis to enable your firm to prove it is maintaining its compliance responsibilities. The overall course aim is to provide you with a clear understanding of how the Financial Conduct Authority expects your firm to behave and conduct itself when dealing with your customers. Click on the information button below for more details. When you are dealing with your customers, the FCA rules and regulations expect you to consider some key things. Firstly, you must protect their data, confirm their identity, protect their vulnerability, check their ability to afford and pay for the loan, and give them clear information about the credit they're obtaining. Click on each of the buttons to reveal more details. Once your firm is authorised by the FCA, it has to maintain its compliance and evidence to the FCA that it is following the rules and guidance required of it. In order to check that your firm is doing this, the FCA will supervise it on an ongoing basis. This module will give you an overview of how the FCA will do this. By the end of this module, you will learn how the Financial Conduct Authority will supervise your firm to ensure it remains compliant. You will understand why consumer credit firms are supervised, and you'll be able to identify the 3 core pillars of supervision that the FCA use to ensure that you maintain compliance within your firm. Click the button below to see more aims and objectives for this module. So how will the FCA supervise firms? The FCA's head office is currently based in Canary Wharf in London. It has over 30,000 consumer firms to supervise, but it doesn't have 30,000 plus members of staff to supervise firms individually. Firstly, it has divided financial services firms into 2 categories, either fixed portfolio firms or flexible portfolio firms. Your firm is likely to fall into the secondary category, flexible portfolio firms. Click on the buttons to reveal more detail about these categories. The aims and objectives of this module are that by the end of the module you will be able to recognise who are vulnerable customers, you will be able to identify the signs of potential customer vulnerability, you will understand why and when customers can become vulnerable, and you'll be able to demonstrate your knowledge learnt from this module by completing a simple module assessment by multi-choice questions. Steve and Jenny have been together for 3 years. Last year they bought their first house. Thankfully for them, their parents were able to lend them the deposit of £50,000 and they secured a £200,000 mortgage. Life is good, they both work, although Jenny only part-time as they are planning to start a family. However, Steve is worried and he has something to tell Jenny. Click the information button and reveal how the story unfolds. By the end of this module, you will understand the different functions the approved person or senior managers can hold in an FCA regulated firm. You will be able to understand the role and responsibilities of the approved person in detail, and you will identify the 7 statements of principle and the code of practice for approved persons, and you'll be able to demonstrate your knowledge learnt from this module by completing a simple module assessment by multi-choice questions. Before the 1st of April 2014, all consumer credit firms like yours were overseen by the Office of Fair Trading. All that was required of a firm to offer credit or services like debt collecting or managing was to hold a consumer credit licence, or CCL as it was known. A consumer credit licence had to be renewed every 5 years. All firms with a CCL had to apply for interim permission to the FCA by the 31st of March 2014 for a temporary extension to their CCL. The CCL remained valid until a firm's application for authorisation by the FCA had been approved. If firms did not apply, they would not have been able to broker finance agreements, lend money to consumers or deal with debt management. The FCA were expecting 50,000 firms to apply for authorisation. Firms had been given a 3-month landing slot in which to apply from the 1st of 2014 and ending the 31st of March 2016. Once authorised by the FCA, firms have to pay an annual fee to remain authorised, which is dependent on the income generated from their regulated activities. However, it wasn't automatically guaranteed that a firm would meet the strict authorisation criteria set by the FCA, even though they may have held a CCL for many years. In fact, a number of firms did not meet the standards required, and some firms decided to stop selling credit and exited the market altogether. All firms had to meet a number of minimum requirements called threshold conditions. Click the information button to see what these conditions are. By the end of this module, you will understand why customers must be given time to study their finance agreements. You'll understand what the 3 prohibitive actions are for a lender when lending to consumers, what is included in the finance document sign-up process, and what is meant by the term adequate explanations. Click on the button below to reveal more aims and objectives. In summary of this module, we have learnt that the credit broker is responsible for determining the suitability of the finance product for the customer, that the lender is responsible for assessing the customer's creditworthiness and affordability for the credit agreement, and an example of a typical lender information pack will include pre-contract information, SECI and finance product explanations, that the importance of adequately explaining the finance document to a customer, and that a lender must treat a customer in arrears fairly and considerately, recognising that they may be vulnerable at that time. You have now completed this module and it is time to exit and take the test. The pass mark is 80%. This concludes this brief look at samples from the course. In addition, the course provides you with a number of quiz questions at the end of each module, which requires an 80% pass mark. You can take the quiz as many times as you need before you can move on to the next module. The course is CPD approved and will count as 5 hours of study. You'll find the course easy to use, very clear and easy to navigate.